Reaction.
Hi, welcome, good morning. My name is Emily Weiss. I am a senior here at Seaholm High School. I'm in the FLEX program, and my big board today is focusing on divorce and how it impacts children in the present and in the future. To start out, I'd like to just have you watch a short video clip.
Dear Mom and Dad, I know that you are hurting. I'm hurting too. I feel and feed off your tension, fear, and shock. Although I am young and cannot express verbally what is happening in our lives, I'm
Now
still
you don't have to
feeling
hold it
that.
so long, it'll be close.
My heart is broken every time I have to give up a parent. My sense of security is lost. Please don't assume that I am resilient. Please don't assume that my life will be exactly as it was, and that I will continue to feel the same love for both of you. I'm a human being just like you. My needs are just like yours. I need love, attention, nurturing, stability, consistency, affection, understanding, patience, and mostly to be wanted. When you fight over me or put me in the middle of your argument, you are sending me the message that winning with each other is more important than my life. I am learning from you that it is better to be right than to be loved. You are teaching me that I came from a person who is unlovable and wrong, and that I am somehow wrong too. When you confide your hurt in my heart, you are storing up adult pain and robbing me of my childhood. You are taking away my belief that love is unconditional and replacing it with a message that tells me to become hard and not to love because I will get hurt and not be able to recover. You may not understand this today, and I am so small that you are not thinking about my future, but you are putting me at a greater risk of getting a divorce myself. At times, you are risking my safety to fill a void in your heart. My safety is your job. Without you and your protection, I am shielded from the world. This will minimize and irrational fears for me, because I will stay in a state of fight or flight for most of my life. Someday, this initial shock will wear off. How you choose to parent me through this crisis will never wear off. I will either feel your sense of selflessness, support, and protection, or I will have a scar on my heart with a message that reads, good things happen to good people.
It's Roseanne.
It must be bad. Thoughtfully, the child of divorce.
Alright, so my thesis today is although a good number of people in society are deluded in thinking that divorce only places short-term effects on children, the impact that it leaves is much more long-term for various reasons. What we're going to focus on today is we're going to start with what changes a child's reaction to divorce. Then we're going to go through the immediate effects, how it changes the relationships, the future that they hold, the opposing argument to all of this, and then my service learning project. So to start with the child's reactions, they are often inevitable ones. They're like age, gender, and mental disorders, and they're ones that are uncontrollable. So to begin with age, the younger a child is when the divorce happens, the harder it is for them, not because they have more emotion or they feel more, but because they're so confused about the process and they don't fully understand it yet. So this confusion can lead them to self-blame, it can lead them to a false sense of what actually happened, and it's often a very confusing process for younger kids. Older children, on the other hand, understand it. So initially they will feel extreme sadness, but then they will have a coping process where they understand what's going on. They have to try and reason themselves with it, and then they try and move forward the best possible. Along with that, age, gender is also what changes the child's reaction to divorce. Placing all stereotypes aside, boys during a divorce tend to lash out more and they will become angry and frustrated, and that's how they display their emotions. But girls, on the other hand, keep inside more, which is why girls who are going through it have a more likely chance to become depressed or have anxiety or other mental disorders such as that. And along with that, mental disorders also plays into a huge reaction because 80% of teens in mental hospitals and 60% of children in psychiatric hospitals are products of divorce. So by decreasing that amount of people, you will benefit from it. thing are the immediate effects. To begin with, as you can see in the picture here, income per family decreases almost by half with each divorce. It says here that the average income for a family before divorce is around $43,000, and after divorce, it becomes $25,000. So that's a dramatic increase of $20,000. So that's one of the very big immediate effects. Along with that, older children are often forced to act as the lost parent in this scenario. This creates too much emotional and physical expectations for them that they will never be able to live up to, because they are in charge of making sure that their siblings' needs are met while also trying to comfort their parent during a time of stress. And this will lead to feelings of inadequacy or that they aren't good enough, because they will never be able to live up to the expectations that they are in charge of. Along with that, there's diminishing relationships. Even if the parenting time is split 50-50, that's 50% less time that you see with each parent. There's also something called the absent father role, where often in cases of divorce, fathers just get up and leave and mothers have full custody. And this is an extremely poor situation, because we'll see something in the future, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll figure that out. Another immediate effect is coping, and there are different methods of coping. Younger children often lash out, just like the boys do, because they are confused about it, and confusion leads to frustration, and then their frustration leads to anger. While older kids will have a period of reflection, they will kind of think about what their future holds, what life is not going to look like for them, so that's their coping method. There are a few things that parents can try to do to minimize these immediate effects. They aren't inevitable, like how a child will react. The two things that they can do is communicate, and the conflict that they show to their kids between the two parents. These are the two biggest things that they can do to try to minimize those immediate effects. First, communication. Communication is extremely vital in this process. You need to communicate to your children that it's not their fault, that things of that nature, and to let them know that whether they talk to you or a teacher or a counselor, that their opinion is validated, and that if they need help, that they should seek it, or that we will seek it for them. Another thing is the conflict shown to the kids by showing the conflict about the parents. Between the parents, the kids will often feel even worse than they already do, and they will feel extremely confused, and they won't know what to do.
Uh-oh.
Did my phone die?
Mm-mm.
Oh, because it's about to. Okay. Lastly, there's psychological effects. These main two psychological effects are things that are uncontrollable, and they go back way further in the mind than some of these other ones. And the two are obesity and sickness. Just the process of getting a divorce increases children's chance 54% to become overweight or obese. That could be due to the new economic status that occurs, or the stress that is there, or just simply parents having too much on their plate to be able to get a good meal out. Along with that, sickness is much more common in children of divorce, and that is because during stress, immune system's lower, and the immune system is what keeps you healthy, but more importantly, it gets you back to health quicker when you're sick, and in both cases, children of divorce are shown to get sick quicker and take a longer time to recover from that sickness. So the stress from the divorce lowers their immune system and makes them sick more often. Moving on to relationships. And we're just going to do this with some rain. Awesome. Oh crap, I forgot to have you take a survey.
It's okay, I'll pretend.
Okay. We're just going to add a minute to it at the end. Relationships. There are relationships between the parents. You're going to make it rocky. There are relationships between the parents diminish, as we had said earlier, in the immediate effects. And the lost father role is extremely important, because in this statistic right here, it shows that 90% of homeless and runaway youth, 71% of high school dropouts, and 63% of youth suicides all result in not having a father. And all of those people who don't have a father are losing a very important part of their life and a very important role model to them. Along with that, there's less attachment to the parents due to the loss of parenting time, and also how the parents talk about the other parent can also affect the relationship between them. Because while one might think that if you talk negatively about the other parent to your kids that they'll come to you more, but it actually flip-flops, and the more that the parent talks poorly to the kid, that's the more distant that the kid will become from them. With that, there's trust issues immediately after the divorce. Kids will be less likely to open up and less likely to reveal themselves or become vulnerable. So that can lead to an issue with relationships, friendships, things of that nature. Also, friendships that are already established will often be called into question, and this can lead to kids becoming distant with their friends and not valuing that friendship as much as they would if their parents were not divorced. So future, as we mentioned, the low economic status, this can actually bring families into poverty, and if that does, then they'll remain in that poverty circle because it's very hard to get out of poverty once you're in it. So that can impact the children. Also marriage, often children of divorce are afraid of marriage, or if they do get married, then they have an extremely higher percentage of being divorced. Do this survey.
And we're going to go into this office.
And then we watch this.
Dear Mom and Dad, I know that you are hurting. I'm hurting too.
We'll just add the minute.
Okay. The opposing argument to this is that there are three main opposing arguments. There's normality with time. It can lead to better things, and it's better than the fighting. And for normality with time, as you can see in my presentation, there is no normality with time. They might be able to accept it and move on from it, but they will not go back to the normal life that they were living beforehand. Can lead to better things. I can't think of a situation where divorce would lead to anything better for the children. And better than the fighting is not true, because the fighting doesn't just go away. They actually have to go to court. It can be a long, tedious process, and that can create more fighting, more instability. And if children are involved, which in my case, all the children are involved, the two parents will still remain a part of the life unless one of them chooses to leave, and that will create constant chaos and fighting because of the issues that they still have to dispute over. And for my service learning project, I worked at my stepmom's court, Judge Karen McDonald. She is in the 48th District Court of Oakland County, and her court, it specializes in family law. So I worked with the PPO cases, which are personal protection orders, which the majority of them are divorce-related, or divorced parents trying to file a personal protection order. So I worked with them, and I handed them a pamphlet of information such as emergency contacts, or emergency numbers that they can use, helplines, psychologist numbers, if they do have children, information that they can use to help talk to their kids about the divorce and how to better the situation that they are currently in. And I spoke to both men and women who are in the divorce process and gave them a handout and advice if they had children. And do you have any questions?
Yes.
Yes?
How many divorces are there?
50% in America.
Wow, that is terrible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.